Good morning, Carmen Mayell here, the mortgage guy who does baseball events, and I'm thrilled to be at the home of the Marlins, which is sort of my home team, living in Southeast Florida. So looking forward to just kind of acquainting you this morning. We're at the Play event. What does that stand for? It's in Kansas City yesterday. If you watched, it stands for Promoting a Lifetime of Activity Among Youth. Promoting a Lifetime of Activity of Youth. It's an initiative of the Pro Baseball Athletic Trainer Society, or PBATS, and essentially what it is to parlay the influence of Major League Baseball in behalf of the betterment of kids. Hey Ray, good to see you this morning, watching here from South Florida as well. But what I want to do is a minute introduce you to one of the athletic trainers. When I have a chance to talk to some of the community relations people, maybe you'll see some stuff going on behind me, some of the kids out there doing exercises and stretches in the field as the athletic trainers are doing what they do best. But it's always a pleasure to be back here at the Marlins. So again, Carmen Mayell with the Promoting a Lifetime of Activity event, which is a initiative of the Pro Baseball Athletic Trainer Society. Let's walk around for a minute. This is a cool stadium. If you've never been here, you need to come. And you can see obviously the Play logo back up here in the back. We're out here on left field and coming in and looking at the stadium. And the neat thing about this stadium, if you haven't been here, is that when you're sitting up there, you look out over the city of Miami. So just picture that on a beautiful night here in Southeast Florida, looking out, and if we have to close the roof, which they do occasionally, and oftentimes actually more often than not because of the humidity level down here, you can still be in the stadium because what they've done is they've configured the stadium in such a way that all of that is open. So it closes up with glass or plexiglass, whatever it is, and you can see a view through the entire city of Miami, which is developing incredibly if you keep up with it. So let's go on out here. Let's see what's going on a little bit. What we've got Mike Kozak, assistant trainer here, has been here a while. We're going to talk to him in a minute. And Mike is now actually doing some work with, hey Don, good to see you join us. Mike is doing some working with the kids in agility training, stretching, talking to them about how to make sure they stay in shape. And that's kind of part of the core of this event, is helping kids today where you have a lot of issues with childhood obesity, just a lethargic lifestyle, which is so different than when I grew up, or maybe when you grew up if you're watching, or maybe not, depending where you are. And here he is kind of do things that they typically may not know even what to do. So encouraging that. So let's walk on around for a second, get a picture of this.
Not really, but you start with water, right? Sometimes when we sweat, if you ever notice some people when they sweat and then their shirt dries, you go like a white mark on their shirt, on a black shirt, sweat, that's salt and electrolytes.
Now being an open stadium that we have here, obviously. Hey Barbara, good to see you. Neil. Hey, by the way, give a shout out to Neil, who is really the one initiative behind this program, Neil Romano. And we're here in Miami today. Again, I'm Carmen Mayell, working with the Play campaign, promoting a lifetime of activity among youth. So here at the Marlins Stadium, which is, again, a fabulous stadium. And let's go on over here. I'm going to interview somebody first. Hang on, let me go find who I want to find here. Let's go over here quickly. Let's go up to the head of the train. Dan, do you mind if I have a word with you for a minute? Sure. Yeah, let me go ahead. This is Facebook Live. Now, you're wondering why a guy my age is doing this. I think Neil Romano is watching, so we can introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your role here, and say something to you, some people watching, about, I think so often they don't realize the significant role of the athletic trainer, what goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, so obviously our main...
Give me your name, full name.
Dustin Lipker.
Dustin Lipker's been here now third year.
Second season.
Second as head athletic trainer.
Correct.
But you've been in the field how long?
So I started in 2012 in the major league level here.
Yep.
And then prior to that was in the minor leagues with the Marlins as well.
And your background, explain a little bit about the background that gets you to doing something like this, because you're working with millions of dollars with guys, and you're helping them preventative against injuries.
Correct.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we focus on the prevention of the athletic injuries, but then when an injury happens, we also have to focus on the return to play aspect as well. So not only with prevention, but then also the care of the athletic injuries.
Yep.
So we do everything from keeping them on the field to then also, if they are injured, returning them back to competition as well.
Very good. So it's This has been kind of a difficult year. Obviously, we've lost a very fine player. What would you want to say? Obviously, you work all these guys, even though they're really, some of them at the top of their field, even very young, in their 20s. What do you say to encourage them to do what they need to do to avoid things that can happen so easily in the society today?
I mean, the easiest thing we can try to do is educate. We have a great support staff here with everything that we can offer them, from front office to sports psychology to anything we can, and try to possibly get in front of the situation before anything were to escalate. And it is hard. You go around these guys 12 hours a day, 10 hours a day at times, and you don't know what happens on or off the field.
Well, and you're Miami too. Tough area, right?
It's tough, and so you try to keep a pulse on behaviors, activities, but you can't always. Everything's not always as obvious as it seems. That's unfortunate.
Well, appreciate your role and play. I just want to say thank you on behalf of Romano Group and just the work you're doing with the Athletic Trainers Society and PBATS. We appreciate it so much, and I know so many parents do as well. Thank you very much.
Problem.
Great to see you, Dustin. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Let's go for a second. I want to have a chance to let me find Mike Kozak. Mike is on the board of PBATS, and I think it'd be an interesting guy here. He's been here for a long time. Let me hold on just for a second. Mike. Hey, good to see you. Thank you so much. I want to introduce you. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, good.
I got nice and warmed up after I warmed up the kids.
Mike Kozak has been, how long have you been in the field?
37 years.
37 years.
37th season in the major
Native of Canada. My dad was born in London, actually, fellow Canuck, and but actually now lives in Montreal part of the year, and then down here, obviously, part of the year.
Yep.
Found out something interesting about Mike just recently, is that his hobbies are, tell me about your hobbies. I think
my
that's so
hobbies,
cool.
I'm a big, I've got it totally backwards. I spend my summers in Miami and my winters in Montreal in the cold. So I don't have a problem with the cold. I love the downhill skiing. I love the cross-country ski. So I find it very relaxing, cross-country skiing through the woods. You see a lot of nature. It's good conditioning, and in general, I just enjoy the piece of that and the conditioning for the heart rate.
I just think that's so cool. So you got both worlds. You got the tropics down here, and you've got the winter sports up in Montreal.
Yeah. Well, it's not so bad because I have not been in Canada in 37 years in February and March, and basically that's when winter gets a bit long in the tooth. And but I'm down here for spring training just in February.
So Mike, you've been in the industry a long time. Tell us a little bit, and actually want to focus on, you've been a member of PBATS board. People are watching, may not be familiar with what PBATS is. Could you mind explaining that a little bit and why we're doing something like this?
Yes, I'm a charter member of PBATS from its inception.
Which stands for Professional Baseball Athletic Trainers Society.
Correct. I was lucky enough to serve on the board for 6 years as a National League representative, and PBATS is an educational society. That's what we're doing here today. We're educating kids about PEDs, we're educating about how to prepare their bodies to play sports and how to avoid injuries. And the PBATS, through the monies that it raises, puts on scholarships, gives scholarships to college kids that want to be athletic trainers. We run internship programs, many things along those lines.
I think that, when I first, through Neil, became acquainted with PBATS, I didn't know really what to expect. And I remember initially my response to Neil, I said, well, I'd like you to maybe do some of the events and, in that way. And I said, well, a guy my age, he says, Carmen, you're dealing with guys that are mature in their field. And I would say that getting to know some of the men of the Professional Baseball Athletic Trainers Society, I've only been unduly impressed. I'm saying this because you're here, not because you're here, but because it's true. No, this is a great group of guys.
Certainly the membership is has not entry-level trainers, but trainers that are in their late 20s and 30s, and then there's a handful of trainers that are approaching in their 60s, myself included, and it's a wealth of experience from, and we all learn from each other.
Sure.
Because the younger guys are bringing in new techniques, and the older guys have old school techniques that we share back and forth. So it's totally educational. It's all volunteer. Nobody. They just do it out of the love of athletic training and professional baseball.
Okay, you've done this a long time. You work with a lot of young men. You've seen the problems that can happen if things get out of control. And we have this last year in the Marlins. Tell us a little bit. What's the advice you would give if you were talking to a young athlete out there? What advice would you want to give them?
What I find is, what I tell people is players in professional baseball underestimate what they do in a day at the ballpark. So as the season progresses and fatigue will set in, sometimes less is more. They have to make adjustments to their training program, make adjustments to their workload, because you are going to get tired as the season moves along. Yeah. So I would monitor your body, listen to your body, get rest, proper diet, and sometimes back off on activities to keep yourself optimal for what you have to do on the field.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure seeing my friend, and thank you for your work. Again, thank you for what you do with the Play campaign and PBAS. It's just a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. All right, let's go over here. I want to introduce you to somebody else in a minute. Let's go see where some of the kids are. They're out here. Oh, they're doing a game now. Oh, now they love this. Can you imagine if you were really into baseball and your local team, as so many of these kids obviously are, they wouldn't be here, and now you're actually playing on the field? This is amazing. So they're doing looks like, I guess because of the age, today they're going to be doing something rather, a little kickball game rather than simply a baseball game. We've got one of the assistant athletic trainers out here that is pitching the ball or rolling the ball to him, going the bases. All right, hold on. We've got a young man coming up here. All right, we've got it going. Oh, they're having a great time. Well, let's take a break for a minute. Let's go over here. I want to introduce you to somebody else as well. Orlando.
Yes.
I'm going to pick on you now.
Okay.
This is Orlando. I don't know what your last name is.
Prescott.
Prescott. Orlando Prescott. Grew up here in the Miami Shores area. Went to
Coral Gables Senior High.
And then to
University of Florida.
UF. Okay.
Yeah,
Make sure I got that right.
Yeah,
all right. Get myself in trouble. Orlando was a major in entrepreneurship, business, and
I was a business major, sports management outside concentration, and entrepreneurship minor.
Okay. Wow.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. I'm impressed. But he's an impressive guy, right? So all right, Orlando, tell me a little bit about, you are in an internship program here with the Miami Marlins. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about what you do, because I think everybody sees sort of the whole stadium, the games, but I don't know if they always know the depth of the organization and what you guys do. Tell us a little bit about it.
So I work in our community outreach department, specifically with a focus on our youth baseball initiatives. So we have a number of youth leagues that we sponsor and help coordinate with. We have clinics like we do here today, so it's a lot of integration with our marketing department, with sales, with grounds and ballpark ops. So you're having to coordinate with so many different groups on something that is, when you say clinic, you think it's simple, it's easy, just come out and do it. But on our end, it's booking and communication with so many different groups that it can at times be overwhelming until you get acclimated to the process. But this is like our third or fourth one this year, and we're having a lot of fun with it. The kids are enjoying the kickball game, so it seems to be going pretty well.
What do you want to do? Where are you headed?
What I want to do? Oh man, I just want to work in sports and help keep enriching kids' lives. Just pay it forward for the next generation. Sports has been such a huge part of my life, and I just constantly want to give back. And hopefully say I threw the next Mike Trout BP one day.
Hey, thanks a lot, Orlando. Appreciate it. It's good to meet you, and great to have you here. It's just a privilege to meet you, and best to you and where you're going forward.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for coming out and enjoying the day with us.
Thank you, Orlando. Bye-bye. Isn't that great? So you get to see that baseball and what's going on. It's interesting, the depth of this organization. By the way, if you want to do something that's pretty instructive, when I first started doing this, I was looking for one of the community relations guys. So I went in the backside looking for the different phone number, contact information, and I was blown away by the depth of the organizations, the personnel. These are big organizations, and I guess you would probably know that. Maybe that was something new only to me, but we're talking serious depth of an organization. And obviously for a stadium like this, it's got to be deep to some degree, and indeed they are. Let's see if we can pick up something else here really quickly. Let me go over to Ron Garcia. He heads up the community relations here. I don't want to go over him or below him, so I'm going to go over him to make sure that I cover the bases here appropriately. Where you go? One. Let me catch you. Hold on. Juan Garcia from the Marlins. Juan's been here 10 years, is that right?
Yes, sir.
10 years in charge of community relations.
Sure, community outreach, but yeah, working with the
outreach.
kids, making sure that everybody has a good time, and we make sure to have
You
an
grew up in
impact.
Miami?
I did.
You grew up in Miami.
5 minutes from here.
5 minutes from here.
Yes,
so
sir.
you're in the heart of the Latin community right here, which this had to be huge, I would
Absolutely.
think.
A lot of
love
excitement.
baseball. Tell me a little bit about what you do. And I just spoke to Orlando, sharp guy,
Very.
speaks highly of your ability to hire good people, sincerely said. Tell me a little bit about what you do and why you do it.
Sure. Well, Orlando's a Gator, but I'm a Florida State Seminole.
Oh, well, we got to watch that.
So
You
still
gotta
hired
give
him
away
anyways.
some things.
Still hired him anyways. But yeah, I'm fortunate enough to have the opportunity to work here in our community outreach department. I oversee our youth baseball program, so all of our clinics, our Reviving Baseball in Inner Cities program, and having that direct touch point with the kids in this area, having come from this area, is really rewarding for me.
Yeah.
And additionally, I oversee all of our player relations, so just the communication and aligning, what our players' passions are with some of our goals and their goals of how to impact the community is really what I tend to focus on.
Wow, that's great. Well, appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And I just want to say how much we appreciate your participation in the play program. You've done this how many years now?
Since I've been here.
So, yeah, you have. So we appreciate it very much.
Absolutely.
And it's always great to be at really my home team. So it's a pleasure. And what a beautiful day it turned out
Great
to be.
weather. Great weather.
We were both glad, all of us glad for that one.
Excellent.
Thank you, Juan, so much. We'll see you.
problem.
Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir.
Great group here, great team, and it's a pleasure to be back at the home of the Marlins. So I'm Carmen Mayell here at the play event promoting a lifetime of activity among youth here in the Marlins Stadium in Southeast Florida in Miami. Incredible metropolis that it is and developing in an amazing way. In fact, if you want to Google image it, you probably would see just I think we counted, Betsy and I were coming in, my wife and I were counting and coming this morning. I think we saw like maybe 15 cranes, high-rise projects all over the horizon, Midtown's going up as opposed to Miami Beach and all over the place. But anyhow, we're here at the play event, which is far more significant because we're dealing with young men and women who, many of them face challenges. They come from an area around the stadium that has a lot of kids with a lot of different needs, and it's a pleasure to be a part of this program. So, okay, thank you for joining today. By the way, okay, so I'm the mortgage guy that does the baseball events. Let's talk about something here. I look at this, I'm out on this field, and I realize that every player that comes out here, there's a bit of discipline. So it is in the mortgage industry. You're looking to buy a home, there's going to be a certain amount of discipline. So if you're a first-time home buyer early on, think in terms of the fundamentals. Your income, your assets, that is money for down payment and closing, and your credit. Keep those in mind, be disciplined about it, and here's my quick tip for the day. If you're a first-time home buyer, keep this in mind. That $300 car payment that you may decide to say, I want to go out and rent my car or lease my car or buy it, and it's going to cost me $300, you may want to think about buying your home first. Why? Because if your debt-to-income ratio, and that's a whole other discussion, but if it's close, about every $50 in monthly obligation is going to equate to about $10,000 in purchasing power on a possible mortgage loan. So that $300 car payment may have just cost you $60,000 potential in the home you may want to buy. Little tip for the day. I'm Carmen Mayell with the mortgage guy that does baseball events here at the Play Campaign in South Florida, signing off, and thank you for joining me.